Acres today is just trying to figure that out. I should know, shouldn't I? It's the 4th. My studio's kind of been taken apart here, and I came in kind of late to get it going, and so it's not getting fixed. They put this up instead of just moving it up. They put it in with a screw. So I didn't have a screw gun on me, so there it is. It's up there. Oh, I guess I could have fixed it, but I just sat down. So today's the 4th, April. Let's see. Okay, I got to do my intro. This is Mark from Baker's Green Acres coming to you. This is Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres, where we teach you to do the thing so you can have the power. How do you like that? Our topic tonight is going to be aging in place on the homestead. Energy, help, efficiency with giving up your way of life. No, efficiency without giving up your way of life. You can tell how prepared I am for this. But tonight's show is brought to you and sponsored by the Tribe Plus. The link is in the description, will be in the description. Tribe Plus is the Anyone Can Farm tribe, and it's plus. So it's an effort to take you to the next level. We've got a lot of good information there. We've got manufacturers' discounts. 2 beauties there right now. I went through a list of the people who are in the tribe today, and I was surprised at who's not in the tribe. You're putting together a butchering operation, and LEM offers 15% on their equipment, and they make grinders, mixers, slicers, sausage stuffers, knives, and they have a sister operation called Roots and Harvest, and it's sort of the same outfit, but I'm told that LEM is there to appeal to the male, the guy that hunts and does all that, and the Roots and Harvest is more like the Homestead female, I guess. Although I looked through it and they've got a lot of really cool stuff. I need to get some new chicken killing cones, and they've got some beauties. And I get 15% off too, so I'm definitely going to use them. All right, Jay-Z's here, Sean Wise is here, and Belva Rockwell is here. Right on. So tonight we want to talk about aging in place on the homestead. I'll just give you a brief idea of what went on around here today. I was the guy that was in charge of milking today. All right, Faylene is here. Hi there. From Northwoods Natural Solutions. That's my daughter-in-law. I was in charge of milking today, and I got that done pretty good on my last cow. The vacuum compressor reduced to about 8 pounds, or it's called millibars of vacuum pressure, and it's supposed to be 14, and it was working really good. So I took it down to Santa's workshop and I took it apart again. Only this time I'm getting good at it. And I got it back together before lunch and fired it up. Boom, right up. 15 pounds of pressure. 15 millibars, actually. And so I thought, great, got it fixed. Came up, had lunch, did some work with Joe, some video work and stuff, and headed back down. Nothing. It wouldn't even make a single pound. I'm like, what the heck's going on here? So I tore it apart, and turns out I put too much gasket seal and it had forced its way into the pump and held the veins up, and it gummed up the inside of the whole thing terribly. And I came back up to the house and thought, well, I got to get this done, and talked a little bit and all that. And by the time I went back outside, it had cleared slightly out. It was up to about 58 degrees today, although it was windy and overcast. And by the time I went, okay. I'm going to do some butt whooping here. Okay. Nobody's home. So I don't even want to go out there and find out what that's all about. But anyway, by the time I got back down there, it was down to like 20 degrees. The wind was blowing like you wouldn't believe. My air compressor wouldn't even run. It was so cold. You know, steam coming out of my mouth and everything. So I had to put it back together in that viciously cold. But I thought this has to happen because we need to use this tomorrow morning. Turn it on, 8 pounds, and I need 14. So I guess I'm going to be doing a little maintenance work tonight when I get done here. Crunchy Mama's with us. Happy Tuesday. Enjoying my last day without sheep until October. Without sheep. So you're going to get sheep? Does that mean? They're great if you like the noise they make. Somebody, Hidden Creek made a thing on my Facebook today, and she was talking about how they cut up sheep and they sell goat meat. And I made this really smart comment that said, you know that annoying noise that they make, that goats make? Yeah, they don't make it anymore after you slaughter them. 8 Dorpers arriving tomorrow. Good for you. They make a sizzling sound on the grill. Yeah. All right, so we want to talk about getting old on the homestead. And to me, this brings into question, do you plan to stay on the homestead? You know, or are you gonna, when it gets a little bit too difficult, are you just gonna go to like move into town? Because, and I think that's an interesting question. I really do, because to me, living on the homestead, I am not white knuckling it. I'm not hanging on, until I cannot hang on anymore. That's not what I'm doing here. Right. So my homestead, my farm is my fun. It's where I live. It's what feeds me. It's what I think about. I think about other things too. I do. I think about the direction in life that my children are going, and how you can maybe guide them. But a lot of that stems from the homestead as well. I was just on the phone with one of my kids, and he's thinking about going a little bit different direction with his military career, a little bit more intense direction. And he said, I'm pretty good at this stuff. I have problem solving abilities, and I can look at something that I've never even been around before, but kind of figure out how it works. And it's helped me a lot in my career so far. So I'm thinking about going a little bit more specialized. And I said, yeah, you could definitely do it. You could definitely go the special operations route. It's just a question of, you have to set your mind to it and, follow through, take it a minute at a time, and just wait to quit until you're done, and then quit, but don't quit. And I think with that mindset, I think that's something that we need to bring over to homesteading. Now, there has been times when I want to throw my tools down and say, I've had enough of this. I'm just going to move to town. But then I think it through a little bit more, and I think I would be really bored in town and irritated with town people, and I'm not interested at all in living in town. So for me, anyway, I've already made my decision. I will stay here as long as I can, as long as I possibly can. You know, when I get up around 110 or so, and it's a little hard to get off the lawnmower and stuff, I might consider moving to a smaller farm at that point. But I have no intention on whatever retiring or anything like that. I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep working because I like this, right? I suppose if I really liked golfing, I would continue to golf, right? As long as I could. This is different though. It's self-regulating to where, you know, I could see where a time came when I might not take on the big building projects that I take on now, or at least to me, they're big. And I might just be an operations guy. So I just operate, you know, continue to milk, continue to move chicken tractors. You can do that. You know, you don't need to be, you know, 100% to do that stuff. Mow the lawn. That's easy. I mean, that's really old guy work anyway. And I like that. Plow. I bet you thought that was a Bud Light there for a minute, didn't you? Isn't that disgusting? Oof. Have you guys heard all about that? We're not supposed to go down rabbit trails. But the rabbit trails all have to lead back to Tribe Plus because Tribe Plus is sponsoring the show tonight. It's kind of nice that the Anyone Can Farm experience is a big enough business that we have sub facets that we can call on to sponsor the show. And that reminds me, if any of you out there would like to be sponsors of the Tuesday night show or the Thursday night show, you need to let me know about it. We have not done that, but we will. And, you know, for a measly, a very modest price, you can actually sponsor a show. So that would be not a bad thing to do. And it helps. So Tribe Plus, a little bit more on Tribe Plus, because the show last Thursday, we were supposed to have Nick Ferguson on, but there was a mix-up and we couldn't get a hold of him. And hopefully we'll be able to get him on this Thursday. But I decided to go on and talk a little bit about Tribe Plus and talk about what our goal is with Tribe Plus. And Tribe Plus is basically a place where we are stashing a lot of information that we are creating, and it's behind a firewall or a paywall. When we get paid to unlock that for you, then we can pass that on to the people that are making this content, right? So it seems to me that to join Tribe Plus, not only will that unlock a lot of the mysteries about homesteading and farming for you, because we show you how to do stuff, like where we teach you how to do the thing, then you will have the power. It puts you in a place where you can operate and, you know, increase your ability to homestead. So that's what that's about. You know, we could continue to make content and then just give it away. But how long can that happen? You know, that's basically charity, right? And that's not what there is fair trade in everything that's done. So I come on and I do this show on Tuesday night. I don't get paid to do this, but it's all designed to point people towards something to where we can recoup the work that we are doing to put you in the driver's seat of your own operation. We have to recoup that after a while. You know, somebody's got to pay Joe, and right now Baker's is paying him. Baker's Green Acres is paying him. So some of the proceeds from the work that we do, like today we processed pigs, we milked cows, we fed pigs, we fed cows. You know, part of those proceeds goes to Joe from us, but we have to recoup that. See, so that's why Tribe Plus is so important. A lot of you are in this and have reaped the benefits of the information that we freely give out, but now it is time to support the operation. Now it is time. All right. So I'm asking for your help, but I'm also saying, you know, throw down with us, you know, throw down, help on this. So that's that. All right, so let's talk about getting older on the homestead. I'm not at a place where there's things that I used to do that I don't do anymore. I'm not there yet at age 62. It's just, I don't know exactly why that is. I think that I do know people that are less, 10 years younger than me that seem a lot older than me, and they don't do things. I think, and I've listened to information that supports this, the food that is made available to us, we have a tendency to trust. We trust. Well, the FDA approved it. Hey, the FDA approved other things that's killing people. So we have a tendency to trust. We trust the USDA, right? United States Department of Agriculture. We trust the Michigan Department, or we did. We have a tendency to trust our government because overall, there's a lot of good people there. But by the time it makes it down to its rendering point, a lot of times you cannot trust them. And I don't think that you should. I really don't. I don't think I ever will, ever again. And that's okay that you don't trust them. If something happened and I wound up, let's say, incarcerated, I guess I would just have to eat the food that they provide because you don't have a choice. But right now, or from the time I got out of the military, I was able to make a choice what I was going to eat and what I was not going to eat. And this all ties in to getting older on the homestead. I think that a lot of people are eating the food that is made available to them, whether they go to the food pantry or they go to, Myers or Walmart or Shop and Save, and they just kind of trust that the food that's there is going to nourish their bodies and it's going to keep them, healthy. But I don't believe that's happening. I listened to a podcast the other day, and it's a medical doctor, and he happens to be Indian. And I've listened to him off and on, and I don't mean like American Indian. He's like from India, Indian. And he said that a lot of people who even try to eat healthy, eat salads, that was what he brought up. You're more than willing to eat salads and eat, say, meat off the bone type stuff. But you don't stop to look at what's in, say, the salad dressing. And he had a lot of good points. He said that he was on an airplane going someplace, and they passed out pretzels. And so for the heck of it, he just turned it over and he started to read what was on there. And he kept those pretzels, and he read off what was on there for this presentation. And he would read the ingredient, and then he would go to a medical dictionary and read off what that was. And, on a scale of 1 to 10, how detrimental that was to one's health. And it was amazing, just this little thing of pretzels. I've been on airplanes before, and I'm hungry, and I say to the stewardess, hopefully it's a good stewardess, I say, hey, could I get a couple of those? Oh, and they'll give you a pile of them if you want them, and I've eaten those things. And then you read what is in there, and it's like, that's not very good. For the heck of it, I got the salad dressing the other day. We're sitting at the table because you think salad's okay, but I read what was in salad dressing. Ooh, not good. Not good. If I can't pronounce it, I don't think I want to eat it. But then there was pickled asparagus on the table that my wife had got at the Amish store, and it was made by the Amish there. And the ingredients, if you can believe them, which generally they're pretty honest people, it was all stuff that I don't think is going to hurt you. It seems like it's been around for a long time, like salt, vinegar, sugar, although I try to stay away from sugar because we're not sugar burners, we're fat burners. So I think living on the homestead can really extend your lifestyle if you get serious about it. Like, get serious about what you're eating, and don't just eat whatever it is that you buy at the store. That's going to be a huge thing. Like, I want to live to be 120. And I really feel like I can do that, right? I'm once in a while I'll look in the mirror and I'll say, well, who the heck is that? No, it's usually you're walking down the street and you go past the plate glass window and you catch the glimpse of somebody and you like, who's that old guy? And because I still feel the same as I always have, I still feel like I don't know, 16, 18, 20. I feel the same. Everything works the same. But then where'd that gray hair come from? Where's this coming from? It happens so slowly when you're looking in the mirror that you don't really notice it. And it's usually when you see that reflection off guard that you catch that, to me anyway. So I don't see why, if we just keep going and keep using it, I don't think we'll lose it. I just don't feel like that's the truth. I feel as though they have programmed us, like the CDC or whoever says, well, the average age of a man in the United States is 76 years old. So that sticks in your mind. You get programmed. And I think your body says, okay, we can start shutting down about 68. We can do that. Whereas if you tell yourself, no, wait, man, I'm having a good time. I want to stay longer. I'd like to go 120. I want to see my grandkids get married, and I want to see them have kids. I want to do that. I realize that the other side is eternity and it's forever. So it'll be there. It'll be there. We had a grandparent on my wife's side, and she lived to be 100, and she was still going really, really well until she got bored. Yeah. I watched that. And then it was like, no, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. And she kind of shut herself down, it seemed like. She was still, getting around really good. And I remember thinking that although she was 100, I thought if she was having a good time, like, she outlived all of her friends and she wound up living with her kids. And so it was just kind of meh. With with the homesteading lifestyle, I would think, maybe at 100, you're not going to be putting in 10-hour days. But I don't see why you couldn't be mowing the lawn. I don't see why you couldn't be telling your employees, this is what I want done today. And I'm going to walk around, I'm going to drive around in the Jeep or whatever it is, and I'm going to make sure this is done right. And still enjoy your presence in this creation that you've put together. So I've been here 18, this is our 19th year. Been 19 years. Let's see. 2024, this is going to be 2024 will be our 20th year because I got out in 2004. So there are fences here that I built the first year I was here. And they look old now. They look old. But let's say another 20 years from now, they're going to be 40 years old. So likewise, the trees that I planted when we first got here, they're like this now. Some of them like this. How big they're going to be in 40 years like this. They exponentially grow as they get older. So I will still enjoy those things when I'm 100 years old. So will it just suck to be 100? I don't think so. I just don't think so, because a warm summer night or a cool fall night, I enjoy both of them. I actually enjoy, even though it was viciously cold down there and I'm trying to work, I still enjoy that because I choose to. A lot of people don't like the cold and they just say, I hate this. If you keep saying I hate this, then you're not going to like it. So I think getting old on the homestead, if you want it to be an enjoyable experience, it can be. But let's say you're in an old folks home, that would suck. I don't think that's going to be a good time, because then you're around a bunch of other whiners. So I don't think that would be a good time. So one of the things for me that's made it enjoyable to live here is I'm working with people who aren't whiners. We do hard things, and I never hear my kids whine. So once in a while I'll get but I know it's because they wanted to do something else. And then they know that, oh, Dad's, detailing me and I got to do this. I do believe that, and sometimes it's, can you help me with this? Or sometimes it's, hey, would you like to make some extra money? Sometimes it's, hey, I just need this done. We don't have time for fooling around. You just got to get this done. You got to help me with this. So it's a spectrum. I think as time goes by, I have maybe started to realize, well, I don't have as much. I'm not willing to expend as much energy in the course of a day as I used to. I'm not willing to do it. I can, but I'm starting to enjoy coming in and sitting on the couch with my wife. Where when we had a bunch of little kids, I got to go put the tools away, I'd say. I got to go put my tools away, make sure nothing gets rained on. Be right back. And then I come in and everybody's in bed and it's like, oh, I think I'll watch a documentary. But anymore, I don't do that. I kind of like to be in early. I still do enjoy, though, putting my headlight on and going out, pouring up the last cup of coffee and going in the shop. I do like that. Okay, I'll listen to some tunes. I'll get a little bit more done because I do enjoy my work. I was on the phone last night with my my sister, right? And there's some there's some concern in the country. People are concerned about their their well-being, right? I got a text from a friend of mine from A&P school long time ago, and he says the republic is dead because apparently he's just seeing that they hauled Trump into court, right? Which I can tell you what I think about that a little later if anybody wants to know. I don't know if you guys care about that, but I was saying to her, I had an awesome day. And she said, "You did?" I said, "Oh man, it was so awesome." Because yesterday it was sunny and warm. And I'm putting together this new little shop where, it's going to be called the Forge. It's going to be like basically where the welding machine is, cutting tanks, and anything like that. Anything kind of work we have to do on equipment or machinery or stuff. It's on the front side of the chicken house. It was that shed that we built, and originally I was just going to park equipment in there, call it good. But then things changed and I needed some room. I was going to put all the mechanics tools in the wood shop, but that was not going to work because there's a lot of sawdust on the floor. You cannot fire up a cutting torch in there. And plus it's attached to the barn, and I'm just you got to be so careful when you're welding because sparks go everywhere. And I don't sleep good. If I've been welding someplace, you can have a hot piece of steel go onto the bench and you don't see it. And you go in for dinner, and the next thing you know, you've got a fire. And I know people that have done it. I've always been very careful. You can be out at night and you can work to a place on a job and I got to cut this bolt off. It's 10 o'clock at night. I don't know if I want to do that because, the nut end of it can go rolling someplace. And then you go and you get in bed and you're looking out the window to make sure there's no bright lights out there. And so I just don't like to do that. And so now where we're at down here in this separate building, it's fine. I have a lot of outside space. But anyway, I had just a great day down there yesterday. And I was telling my sister what a great time I had. And I really did. I had a great time. I was just by myself, but when I'm feeling good, warm, I'm working on something that I care about. What did I do yesterday afternoon? I mounted a vise on the back of my new truck. That's it. I had to repair the vise first, and then I had to make a plate that I could bolt to the back of the truck. I had to weld some brackets on it so the vise would sit on. And, I've been wanting to do it for 10 years. I've had this vise, and it's a vise that was here when we moved here. It's probably 1890s vise, really well made, but part of it was missing, and I've been wanting to do this, and I finally did it. And when I was done, I looked at it and I said, that thing is on there, and I'm so glad that it's on there because you need a vise when you are doing repairs and you have to take a piece of equipment off. And let's say you have to get a pipe loose, you always need a vise. And now I have this service truck that I bought from Brian Jacobs. I wonder if he's on here. But anyway, so I finally did that and I felt really good about it. It's another piece of the puzzle that's done. And felt great about that. So, and I told my sister I really enjoyed my day, and she was kind of like, "Well, what did you do?" And I said, "Well, my work. I enjoy my work. My work is very important to me, and I try to do it a little bit better every time. I try to steady my hand while I'm welding. I try to do a neater job every time. Try to make my work look better. And I'm not on the downhill slope. I'm getting better, actually, like there was a time around here. Well, there's still this time. We get the butcher shop done to a point where we can use it. We're in there. We got to start working because we have to generate dollars. This isn't like a show farm where I'm independently rich. And I'm really glad, actually. I'm really glad that I didn't win the lottery as soon as like in my last couple years of the military. I'm really glad I didn't. And then I'm just throwing money at this, left and right. I'm not. I get a meager retirement from the Air Force and everything else on this property. If we want to buy something, we have to generate the dollars to do it. So when you come here, what you're seeing is what we've done, what we've created, and I'm really proud of that. I've told you guys before. I know a guy that is extremely wealthy. Like I think in the billions. I think he's like a billionaire, and he sure lives like it. I know he's a millionaire. I know the property is unbelievably, and I don't see him anymore. But he kind of from my past, but he's able to just get an idea and then call a contractor, and he's so rich that these guys will drop what they're doing to come and do it for him. And I'm not able to do that, so I have to think about stuff longer, and then maybe even think, well, I don't know if I'll do that. Like I made a video one time. I went into underneath the haymow, and I showed you guys the old milking parlor where they could milk 10 cows at a time. And it was a single, they'd line them up and lock them in, and then they'd milk 10 cows at a time. And I went in there one day and I thought, this would make a really good meeting place, sort of like a dining room. And imagine that under the haymow, we could get in here and we could insulate this whole thing and then make a nice floor and all this stuff. And it was a great idea. It's a good thing I'm not wealthy, because I'd have called somebody and I said, make that happen. Because now I'm actually going to get in there and return it to what it was designed for. And that's a milking parlor. We're actually going to milk our cows down there instead of where we're milking them now. Because where they are now, where we're milking them, that's where you're supposed to put the hay. But we've been milking the cows there. Why? Because in my brilliance, I thought, this looks like a good place to milk a cow instead of the milking parlor. Yeah, go figure. But as time has gone by, all of a sudden it presents itself as, oh, that's why they built it that way. Oh, in this other room here, that's the milk house. That's where you're supposed to be milking. That's where you're supposed to be handling the milk and storing the milking equipment. Not in where our butcher shop is right now. That was the chicken house, right? And we built a new chicken house. So, we thought we knew what we were doing when we came here. And we did, compared to somebody who had never done this. Like we had our little farm out in Montana. And I guess I'm telling you this because your time on the farm and your exposure to what you have in front of you and what you're trying to do, things drop into place. So I guess I'm trying to tell you that, yeah, when I'm 85 years old, I'll be doing this, but I really don't know. You really don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't really know what's going to happen tomorrow. I have a pretty good idea what's going to happen tomorrow. And I have a direction that I'm going, but I think you have to take it a day at a time and think, well, it makes a lot of sense as I'm fortifying my position, because we're always increasing what we're doing. We're always increasing our position. We always want to make it better, right? So am I making it better for a 30-year-old man? Or do I want to make it better because I know someday maybe that 85-year-old man isn't going to have the grip strength that a 62-year-old man has? Maybe not. He might not. I could be wrong. And I hope I am. I hope I am. Because our bodies, right? Regenerative, that is not a 4-year-old's hand. That's not the same hand. I was named Mark Baker when I was 4, or I was named that when I was born. But let's say when I was 4 years old, that's not the 4-year-old's hand. It's regenerated out. Like the skin cells, they slough off and then they're replaced with new skin cells, the bone cells, the flesh, the tendons, everything is regenerating. And because I'm putting this good quality food into this system, then it regenerates. And these hands are probably stronger than when I retired. They're probably stronger than when I got out of the service 20 years ago. Probably. I would bet. I don't know. I haven't gone to the bench press, but I think I could probably bench the same amount or more. I think I could. But I don't exactly know how much I was benching before I left the military. I don't recall that. But I know that when something has to be moved, where before I would be looking at it like, well, I probably can't lift that. Now I try it and I'm surprised at what I can move. So I guess, nothing in life, this is something that I've learned living on the homestead. Nothing is, let's see, how do I put this? I don't want to get caught with a statement later on, because I do say that the U.S. Constitution is absolute. I say that. And my counterparts, my lib friends, I have a liberal friend that's a lawyer, and she says, well, nothing's absolute. And so what good is the Constitution if it's not absolute? The right to free speech, not always, she would say. But she's wrong. I mean, there's consequences to the stupid things you say, but you can say them, let's see, how do I put this? I want to redo the old butcher shop and turn it into a cafe. That's my goal. A store/cafe. We started working on it last weekend, actually, or the weekend before, actually, and making some pretty good progress on it. But it doesn't happen right away. It was, okay, this part of it, let's do this first. Let's change the door. Okay, so we did it. Okay, next day, let's take this window out because we're going to replace it with a picture window. Okay, we got it taken out. Don't know if that's a good example. Okay, how about this? I believe that the best way to describe how things work on the homestead is everything is incremental. Okay, everything is incremental. I'm going to milk a cow. Well, first step is got to get a cow. Well, I can't get a cow because I don't have a trailer. Okay, get a trailer. Well, I got nothing to haul the trailer with. Well, first thing, then you're going to have to get something to haul a trailer with. Okay, I got a pickup truck. Okay. That's standard transmission. I don't know how to drive a standard. Okay, we're going to have to teach you how to drive this. So everything is incremental. Once you learn how to drive a standard transmission, we don't have to go back there and teach you how to try that over again. So maybe by the time we get to 85, we don't have to learn these lessons over again. And when I'm 85, I'll be saying, phew, man, I remember when I was 40, I remember when I was 50, made a decision I was going to milk cows. I started milking them up in the hay barn. Why'd you do that? I don't know. Just seemed like a good idea at the time. When you're 85, you're going to be saying, no, let's just stand on the shoulders of the guy that put this place together. He made a decision to build this barn this way. This is where you milk the cows. This is where the milk house is. This is where you handle the milking equipment and the milk. Let's just do that. He knew what he was doing. You, on the other hand, you didn't know what you were doing. If you could have talked to him, he would have said, no, you don't milk cows up here. This is where you keep the hay. You milk cows down here, you dumb bunny. All right. Although I am improving on what he did. Now, maybe this will bite me later, but I think that we broke up all that concrete under there, if you remember, which I don't know. But now that we've got all that concrete out of there and all the rocks out of there, well, what are we going to do now? What are you going to do now? Well, I'm going to put wood chips in there. Wood chips, huh? Yeah, I think the cows do better when they walk in on wood chips than if they walked in on concrete. And on concrete, it's real cold. So when they urinate in there, it freezes to the floor. And you never get it all off. And then hey, this is my son Keith calling. Want me to take this phone call? Maybe it's good. Hey, Keith. Hi, I'm doing my show. Well, kind of, but you're live. You're live. Everything all right? Hey, let me call you when I get done here, all right? Okay, good. I'll call you back. Bye. Yeah, he was just calling to make sure everything's okay. I took the phone call because, he's in a very intense training for pararescue. And, there's always the possibility that a guy can get injured and then wash out of the program, which would not be good. And so I thought it was important that I take his phone call, but everything's okay. So he's all right. I'll call him when we're done here. But I made the choice to put wood chips in the basement, and the cows can walk in on the wood chips. And we're going to have a program to where there's a wheelbarrow down there and a manure fork in it. So when a cow defecates, ooh, that's a beauty. All right, get that picked up and let's put that in the wheelbarrow. We're saving that. It's second harvest mentality. It's not. Up until a short time ago, I thought, wow, I got to pour concrete back in this. And so that means I got to put in drains, and they have to drain out to someplace. And so when the cows defecate in there, we're going to have to shovel it up, but then wash the floor down eventually. But what do you do when they urinate? By the time you're done milking, it's frozen. And we're certainly not going to milk them or heat the milking parlor. So on chips, it'll be much better. The urine will sink in, or we can rake it up and we can put it on a pile, So, it's going to be a much better system. Actually, I've learned so much about fertility from Craig Schaff, and it's all come together. And we waste so much, even when we're thinking that we're not wasting, we're still wasting an awful lot of nutrient and the ability to boost our fertility, a lot. And it reminds me, I'm trying not to rabbit trail, but this is where Tribe Plus comes in. Is there's a lot of information there. Like when Craig Schaff was here and he gave his presentation, you could come here and pay, I think it was $20 to come, or you could get Tribe Plus and you can watch it, and then you can back it up and you can watch it again and again and again, right? But in that class, he was talking about building fertility of our soils. There is so much available to us, and we don't even know that it's there. Why? Is it hidden from us? I kind of think so, because if we knew that all we have to do is clip the ends of deciduous trees and chip that up and make tea out of it, if that's all we need to do, and then spread that on our lawn will grow twice as good, or on our hay fields, then it sets a man to thinking, and maybe that 85-year-old man will have ideas that the 62-year-old man doesn't even fathom at this point, can't even see. It kind of reminds me of that movie Back to the Future. Remember that? And the doc, he comes back from the future. He's driving the DeLorean. And before, they had to rig up some really good system to get, all these gigawatts of power to get him to be able to go into the future. But he comes back from the future and he's got this little thing on the back of his car. It's called Mr. Energy, like Mr. Coffee. And he needs some energy to get back to the future again. And so he goes into the trash can, he pulls out some coffee grounds and a banana peel, and he throws it in Mr. Energy and hits a button, and the thing gins up. There's so much energy, but we don't know how to unleash it. We probably do, but we're busy burning oil, right? So I don't know. But I've kind of thought of this system. Like we moved the butcher shop, right? And so I don't have drains in the floors there. And so I have to rig up a drainage system, because you have to wash the floors down in the butcher shop. Or I think you do. And I don't want to cut the floor, and I don't want to do all that. I just don't want to go through all that. That's a lot of work. And it's a lot of expense. I think there's a better way. And I'm going to make a drainage trough, and that is going to drain down into a barrel. And you're thinking, well, 50 gallons, that's going to fill up pretty quick. Wait a minute. Maybe I won't let it fill up. Maybe down in the bottom of that barrel, I'll have a submersible pump with a screen on it, so it'll filter out the big chunks. And I'll only pump that barrel down maybe halfway. I'm going to let it sit there, because we're only using the butcher shop 1 or 2 days a week. All the bacteria that is in the guts of the chickens or whatever animals that we're butchering winds up in the drain and winds up in that crock, and or that barrel that's buried, so it's fairly warm, right? Even in the wintertime. Yeah. And that bacteria can survive and thrive. You want that. That's what happens in your septic system. And then we pump that out. We don't just pump it into a leach field to just disperse it. That's fertility right there. I'm going to pump that into a tank that's on a trailer. And off the back of that trailer, there's a boom. So it's just a pipe, like a 1.5 inch pipe with holes drilled in it. So we can take that out into the field. We open a valve and we just drive along with it until it's all drained out. Well, we didn't get the whole field. That's okay. We can come back and do it again. Well, what about the drain in the milk house? You have to wash that down, right? That should just wash out into a leach field. No, that's a waste. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to pump that into that tank. What about the outhouse? Ooh, let's say I have 50 people come to my house for Tribe Day, and they all poop in there. Yeah, that's some diversity right there. But, if I tried to tell that to some whiz from the university, they'd say, oh, no, you can't do that, because in people's manure, there are pathogens, and you could start the bird flu. I mean, you could start the bat flu, you know? You know you're not. No, you're not. If that's true, then that's not the truth. We can be making all kinds of teas and and things that will increase our fertility. We just have to try it and see what happens. I do pastured poultry, right? And so we are taking a chicken tractor and running down the field with it. We're moving it every day. And what are we leaving behind? Manure, 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 chicken manure. Well, if I took that much manure out there and spread it, you can go too far really quick with chicken manure. And you can actually burn it and destroy the the field. You can. But when it goes directly from the chicken to the ground, and you don't leave them there too long, and I think you got to leave them there like 5 days to make it be literally too long. You move that, and it rains, the sun hits it, and the plants say, "Yeah, thanks," and they take off. They take off, and you wouldn't get that kind of kick with a fertilizer, at least not a sustainable kick. You just wouldn't. You might get a burst, but then you're going to have to do it again because you've just killed all the life in that soil, all the microbiome in that soil. And we don't want to do that because we want a sustainable thing. See, so what maybe the 85-year-old man is going to realize is there's this thing called time, you know. So the 20-year-old man says, I want more hay so I can feed more cows, so I can make more money, so I can get this, $80,000 pickup. That's dumb. 85-year-old man is saying, that's dumb. We're not going to do that. You want to make wise decisions with your money, not dumb decisions. The 20-year-old man buys an $80,000 pickup. He's not going to have it when he's 85. It's going to be rusted to nothing. It'll be at the junkyard, gone. 85-year-old man won't do that. So maybe one of the things a person has to do is try to start thinking like an 85-year-old, when you consider your homestead. I am not an 85-year-old man, but my wife's grandfather and my grandfather, was a industrial arts teacher at South Boston High School. And I used to go and spend summers with him, just like a week or two, where he lived in Hyde Park, Boston. And he had I think he had a double lot. So it was not big, but he didn't have more than, it might have been 3/4 of an acre, maybe. But he had all kinds of stuff going there. No animals, but all kinds of stuff going on. And then I spent a lot of time with him, up until the time he was like pretty old, and by then I was in the service, and I actually was in tech school when he passed away. And I didn't attend his funeral even, which was kind of a bad thing. But I really appreciated his wisdom, and I missed him a lot. When I married Jill, or even when I was just dating her, and I came here and met her grandfather, I just drank that in because we didn't have old guys like that in the military. We just don't. An old guy is 40 in the military. The guy retired when I was 43 or 44. And I was an old guy, real old guy. So I learned a lot from him. And he told me that the things that you have, like he had an airplane, he had a boat, he had, things like that. He said, after a while, they kind of own you. And I watched him in his later years. He was about 95 when he passed away. But from about 85 on, he sold the airplane. He wanted to just sit on the couch with grandma. and do stuff with her. He wanted to fish, but he was more apt to go in a rowboat than his powerboat. And I remember he sold his powerboat. Just sold it one day. It was gone. Hey, where's the boat? Ah, sold it. And I think he didn't offer it to the grandkids because then he didn't want to have to put his dock in. He didn't want his dock because he didn't want to have a place to keep a boat. He wanted to just have just the shoreline there where he could walk. He didn't want the hassle of putting a dock in. He simplified things. So I guess what I am saying is simplify your life. And then when you go into old age on the homestead, things are simple. And simplifying maybe means instead of I don't know. Yeah, instead of the sophisticated machinery, you want simple equipment. Like I intentionally pick for myself equipment that is simple. Like the latest tractor that I bought was built in 1965. So it's very simple, points, distributor, coil, very simple. I got into a little bit of trouble with it and had to get it figured out, and I needed help with it. But it's figured out now, and I can see what I was getting hung up on, and it won't happen again. But it's very simple. I don't need a laptop to troubleshoot it, So, and simple. A shovel is a simple machine. A pick, a hoe, they're simple things. To clean up the handles, you just sand them down and put linseed oil on them. Very simple, right? And they will serve you well. I think when we're younger, we have a tendency to want to get a lot done and not pay attention to the simple stuff. So we want to use motorized stuff to do it. I think that's the thought process. Anymore, I feel a lot more comfortable using simple machines than I do using complex machines. And what do I have for complex machines around here? I think the most complex thing we have is the car that we bought off John Spears a couple of years ago, the Pilot, because it's the newest. And okay, that's all right. I can live with that. I don't have to fix it myself because I got John Spears. I can just drop it off and say, can your guys fix this? And yes, they can. And they will. And then a time will come probably where it will be too old and we'll have to upgrade to something else. But like as far as my trucks go, my stuff is really simple. But I don't go far with them. Like I didn't say, well, I should get it at least a 2010 F-250 Ford pickup because I might have to drive out to, that's not what I do. My lifestyle is simple. I go to Lake City. I go to Cadillac 20 miles away. I can certainly drive, a 50-year-old pickup over there and back. It's actually quite enjoyable for me to drive older stuff like that. The newer stuff, it's like, I never really feel that good because I don't know what's going on. I mean, it's got a computer in it. It might decide to reset at any moment, and we'll have to get a computer technician out there to fix it. Somebody that doesn't even speak English, right? So it can be quite complex. Whereas if my one of my Ford pickups doesn't keep going, it's either fuel or spark or carburetor ice or it's overheated. We can figure that one out. And just by the gauges that you have inside, you can generally figure out what's gone wrong. At least you should be able to. You stand a better chance of being able to. All right. I hope that helps. I think, the obvious things like the way this farmhouse is laid out, the parents' room is on the first floor. So that will still be our room. Um, Jill thinks that we want to build a grandma house. She wants a smaller house than this. I tell you what, I was thinking about this the other day. A little bit of a rabbit trail, but it does fit in. When we moved to this place, this house was pretty run down. The whole farm was run down. It was in really bad shape, but I got a great deal on it. But we knew we had a lot of work ahead of us. And it seems like the house got work done last because the outside, the farm operation had to generate dollars. If I'd have just knocked this place down and built another house, well, then we'd have had the payment times two, on it. Wouldn't have been a good idea. Things didn't go the way we thought they would go, and then we wound up in a kind of a tough situation with a lawsuit, and so things really got gummed up. Um, but it was a learning process, and I don't regret any of it. Even the early days of farming here when we were not doing things properly, I don't regret that. It was just the way it went, and now I can look back on it and say, shouldn't have done that, shouldn't have done that. But at least now I know, and I could see where sometimes kids that grow up in farm families, and I know a guy like this. I know a guy like this, and he'll just say, I'll say, well, how come you don't graze your cattle on that field after you've cut the hay off of it? Because it's a hay field. It's not an option. And I would probably, I'm like that too. If I went to the elementary school and I'd say, well, how come you guys don't have recess in the library? Because it's a library. Yeah, but if you had to, you could have recess in here, couldn't you? Well, I suppose we could, but you don't think that way. You think, well, no, a library is for the library. And so as an 85-year-old guy that's only 62 right now, I'm thinking, well, in some ways, we have an advantage because we thought outside of the box because we didn't even know there was a box. We didn't know, it's not like when I moved here, my neighbors were coming and saying, oh, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do. They really didn't. And, neighbors that helped me quite a bit, and we get along quite well. I could see where they would be like, well, I don't want to butt into the guy's life and tell him what to do. But then there were others that they just wouldn't say anything to you or nothing. They don't even wave to you on the road, I don't know why I get quite a bit of help from my neighbors that I'm friends with, the Van Dries. They help me out quite a bit. Whenever I get myself in a pickle, they're the ones that I go to, and they kind of shake their head and like, okay. Like I've gotten stuck on this farm a couple times with vehicles to where I cannot get it out. No matter what, I can't get it out. I just need a really big tractor to lift me up and pull me out. But I do have a little bit of an advantage that I had to struggle. So it gave me a strength from that struggle, right? Anyway. All right. So let me go through the comments here. I'm trying to get a point across here. I think I've gotten it. I think what you have to do is you have to put yourself in the mindset of the 85-year-old guy and say, well, my days might be shorter. I might not have all the energy that I do now. But I really think that we need to caution ourselves and saying, well, I'm not going to be doing this when I'm 85 years old, because if you say that, you're programming yourself and you won't be doing it. Why? Okay, my grandfather at 85 was still driving his car. I think he stopped driving when he was 86. And I remember him saying to me, I got my driver's license right here. But he didn't drive anymore because he was kind of hitting things and driving onto things that he just couldn't judge as well. I remember driving with him one time. Driving along, he's got his mittens on, he's driving along, and he had a 69 Dodge Dart, right? 6-cylinder. He wound up giving it to me. But he's driving along, yakking away. Boom! He hits a sawhorse, like that's got a light on it with a blinking light. They were doing road construction, and it flung it into the ditch. And I turned around and looked, and this guy stands up out of the ditch, and he's waving his fist like that. My grandfather's just yakking away. Didn't realize he even hit it. Boom! Made a big noise. We got to the house. He parked at the same spot all the time. He was dropping me off. And I got out. It was on my side. And I went up there and I looked at it, and there was this pretty good sized dent right in the front. And I'm standing there looking at it, and he walks around. He says, I wonder how that happened. And I said, you hit a sawhorse over on Main Street. And he said, well, I did not. And he turned around and went in the house. I didn't argue with him. I was probably about 17. I didn't argue with him. You just didn't. And that was it. I told my mother, and she said, she wasn't going to. And he just, I don't know, something else must have happened, but he just quit driving. The car sat in the driveway, and he smoked cigars, White Owls, and only one a day. It was while he was reading the paper. But after my grandmother passed away, he wound up getting remarried to the lady from the drugstore. And she didn't let him smoke in the house. So he would sit out in his car and read the paper and smoke a cigar. And when he gave the car to me, I can still remember the way that thing smelled. For a long time, it smelled like that. That was a great car. Oh, man, I wish I had that car. It was a 6-cylinder, 225 slant 6. What a killer that thing was. Beautiful car. Okay. Okay. I'm going to read these, and we can go do a little rabbit trail in here, and then I got to get going and call Keith back. All right. Crunchy Mama. Okay. Keith is with us. Emily Rosa. Hello from the road. You must be driving. I like Dr. DeHand. I always chuckle when he introduces himself, as it sounds like he says Dr. Silly Old Dan. How do you know that was the guy I was listening to? Maybe it was. I don't remember his name, honestly. Freaks me out. Who the hell is that guy? I don't know. All right. Keith. Oh, yeah. Keith, thank you for your service. Yep. Okay. Nathaniel Hawthorne, stepping out to cull a handful of egg-eating chickens at the moment, little buggers. You're going to cull them, huh? Hope you make good use of them. There is another way. My wife puts golf balls in there. And when they peck golf balls, they don't like pecking them. So it makes them stop pecking their eggs. Yeah, it does. It works. All right. Gio, hello from Tampa. Welcome. All right, you guys, that's it for the show tonight. I appreciate everybody. Let me talk a little bit more about Tribe Plus. 2 of the discount. Oh, no, there's more than that. We have LEM. LEM. You can check their catalog online. They got a lot of cool stuff. And Roots and Harvest. They're sister companies, and you get 15% on purchases with them. It could really work out well for you if you're going to equip a butcher shop, right? Arc Heirloom Seeds, you can check them out online too. And I think they're giving a discount as well. We did an interview with them a few months back. Real cool. They're just up in Traverse City. I think we'll probably be seeing them on Seed Savings Day. That's coming up here pretty good. Field and Forest Mushrooms. Yeah. And also Hyzea Boots. We did a commercial for him today. That's why Joe was here. I think I can say this. All right. So Joe, what he does is he reaches out to companies and says, hey, we have a homesteading business and we train a lot of people and we touch a lot of people with our media. Would you be interested in working with us? We like to get discounts for people that are in the tribe. And so they said, yeah, that's right up our alley. So we used to use muck boots. We buy them for the kids. We've spent a lot of money on boots around here. And generally a pair of high-end chore boots like muck boots or dry shod boots will last about a year. I'm on my second year of my dry shod boots, but I didn't go a full year the year before last. But this winter, I went almost a full year, and then I got these Hyzea boots that Joe worked a deal with for a 15% discount. And we are not sure it's coming soon because I've been wearing them for 2 months, thereabouts. They're really a nice boot. I just slipped these off. They got this thing in the back. They're very much like the dry shod, only they have an insert in them that grips my foot. Like my toes can actually grip the sole of the boot. But the nice thing about them, $80. So we'll see if they hold up. But I got 2 months on them right now, and there is not even a sign of breakdown anywhere. My dry shods, they're going right there. They leak right there. And I don't have a full year on them, and they were $160. These ones have a lifetime warranty against manufacturer's defects. I don't know as I'd go to the trouble on an $80 boot to get a new one, I would just swap them out. I just say, send me a new pair and I'll send them $80. You got to have good footwear on when you're in the homesteading business. You cannot be getting your feet wet. You have to take care of your body, right? Because the work that we do is demanding. Do a lot of walking, a lot of lifting. So I try to wear good gloves. Sometimes I can't wear gloves because of what I'm doing, and my hands do get cold. But I try to wear good long johns so it keeps my legs warm. When you're kneeling down on the ground, that's not good for your knees, right? So I try to refrain from doing that. My father used to tell me, hey, you don't want to do that because you'll get rheumatism in your knees. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I have really good knees, really good hips. I did work at the power plant when I first got out of the service. And wow, within 8 months, I was walking around like some old guy. My knees hurt, my hips hurt, everything. And now none of that. My knees are fine. I don't have any knee pain at all. I think I was getting a little, now that I think about it, a few years ago. And then I went on the carnivore diet and I don't have any joint pain. I did tweak my back the other day lifting some stuff. And so I'm going to nurse that a little bit, but nothing permanent. It was just a strain is all. No, everything's working really good. And I mean everything. So, yeah, I'm going to stay with my theory of use it or lose it, and keep using everything and keep it going. And I think it should. Why can we not be regenerative? Why does regeneration seem to stop at about 70 years old? You know, like, can't that hand regenerate until I'm 120? I mean, why not? Why does it just stop at 76? It just doesn't make sense. It seems like they keep suggesting that to you, and then your body hears it and says, yeah, okay, we're shutting down. We're going to start shutting down at 70. And then, you're going to be dead by 76. And then guys kind of are amazed when they make it to 94. Gee, didn't think I would. Maybe you just didn't program yourself good enough. Maybe if you'd have told yourself, I think I'm just going to live to 120 and I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to have a real good time. So, okay, appreciate it. Let's see. OG or GO. True arthritis is an autoimmune disorder. Otherwise, eat meat, especially organ and connective tissues. How about that? I don't know. Do you know anything about cold plunging? Because we've been doing it. We're in our second year of doing it. And I do it nearly every day. Once in a while, I just say, I'm not doing it today because I don't have to. Whenever I get myself into a place where I'm never doing that again, or I'm always going to do that, then it seems like it always breaks down. If I leave myself the ability to say, I'm not going to do it today, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. I'm not going to feel like, well, I've let the world down. I'm not doing that. But most days, every day this week, I've done it. I get up, come in here, change, go out there, break the ice on that horse trough out there, and dunk down in that water. And I sit there for a good, sometimes 3 minutes. That's extreme. That's extreme. You're on the border of hypothermia. They say. I don't know. I don't know how you're getting hypothermia, but when I get out, I feel quite euphoric. I feel good. And I usually drink a cup of coffee before I come out here. I sit there, read the news, drink a cup of coffee, and then, well, it's time to go take a dunk. And I come out and take a dunk. About that time, the coffee's hitting me, and I come in, change up, and man, I am ready to go. And on days when I don't do that, I don't feel quite that good. Maybe it's placebo, but can improve immune system, but it depends on your race. Believe it or not. How's that? Am I the right race to do that? Because I hope so. Doesn't matter. I'm going to keep doing it. I shouldn't be drinking coffee this late at night, but I am. All right, you guys, I'm going to get going. We are going to be doing a consulting call tomorrow night. It's another good reason for you to go to the anyonecanfarmexperience.com and sign up for Tribe Plus. Need you to do that. When you do that, you have access to moi on Wednesday night. Right now, we're just going every other Wednesday because we only have about 4 or 5 people that are showing up. Although I think there's 40 people that are Tribe Plus people, but only 4 or 5 are coming to the consulting call. This is where you get to ask me questions face to face on a Zoom call, and I can tell you what I think. And then we have other people on the Zoom call, and it kind of bounces around, and we've made some pretty good gains on that call. If you want to hire me to come to your farm for consulting, I charge $200 an hour. And that's just because there has to be a pain point, or I'll never be able to get any work done here. Consulting on the phone, $100 an hour, and I think that's right in there. I know a motorcycle mechanic that works on my stuff, he's charging $150 an hour. All right, I'm going to get going. It's Mark from Baker's Green Acres. Remember, anyone can farm, and please sign up for the Anyone Can Farm Tribe Plus. And we will see you Thursday night for our interview night. Good night.